This week's Torah portion is noted for containing within it the Tochacha, a whole series of curses that God declares he'll bring upon the Jewish people if they do not follow in his ways. The portion involving the Tochacha is considered so dystopian, so to speak, that we don't even call up anyone for an aliyah. We usually give that to the Torah reader himself to have for himself. But it's interesting that we do not simply have curses in this week's Torah portion, we also have blessings. For some reason, we Jews don't talk about the blessings as much as we do about the curses. But there's some words in those blessings that have significance at this time of the year, where God says that we will be l'rosh v'lo lazanav. We should be for the head and not for the tail. We should be leaders and not followers. Those words, we should be for the head and not for the tail, we speak at the table on Rosh Hashanah, when many have a custom of having the head of a fish, or some the head of a ram, and we recite the blessing saying we hope that we're going to be at the head and not at the tail. That's one example of the simanim, the symbols that we use at the Rosh Hashanah table. Jewish tradition in the Talmud tells us that symbols are important. A king was anointed near a spring, so that symbolically we were saying his reign should spring forth for many, many years to come. At the table on Rosh Hashanah, there are certain foods we eat because they're symbolic of something. There's a tradition to eat beets. Why beets? Because in Hebrew and Aramaic it's silka, and silka has the same meaning as remove. So when we eat the beets or look at the beets, we say yistalku oyevenu. Our enemies should be removed. Some have a tradition of eating carrots. Here it's because in Yiddish, not in Hebrew, in Yiddish, carrots were referred to as merin. And merin can also mean to increase. So we eat the carrots, we make a big tzimis out of it, all in the hope that our years should increase. Symbols are important. That's one of the reasons why, despite the fact that I think that African Americans have a lot to protest here in America, the protesting in regard to the American flag is something I don't think should be done. We have very, very few symbols that we hold sacred here in America. Only ones I can really think of is a Thanksgiving turkey and the American flag. If some are going to kneel because they are opposed to the way America is treating the blacks, others will start to kneel because they're opposed to our educational system or to our tax system. And before we know it, no one will be standing. Symbols are very important. In that spirit, I want to show you some new symbols that have been established for Rosh Hashanah. You have lettuce, you have raisins, and you have celery. Why? In this coming new year, let us see a raise in salary. I'll be back next week with one more symbol, the most famous of all, the apple. Till then, Shabbat Shalom.